Here we are, right? Okay, that'll work. That's an awesome deal that John does. Yeah, I mean, it's, getting kids involved in the future of our sport is what it's about. I mean, passing on for future generations. And the kind of growth that we've seen in the past few years in high school fishing, in college fishing, and all that kind of stuff is really, really good. I mean, it's really promising for the future of our sport. And it's a great thing that so many people are willing to put their time in and dedicate the time that needs to be to help those kids get into fishing. And that's what we were just talking about, how the high school fishing's grown so much in the past few years. Even I don't think I'm that old. I'm 30, 31, but it wasn't that long ago. I was in high school and it didn't seem like high school fishing was something that would have taken off as well as it has. So I'm glad it has. It's a really good thing. Gets kids on the water. That's what my dad always said. That's why he took me fishing. If we was on the water in the woods, it's out of trouble. So there's a lot to be said about that. But yeah, my name's Defoe. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. Fishing professionally about 10 or 12 years now, and fished the Bassmaster Elite Series. Got my start on FLW, but fished the Bassmaster Elite Series and Major League Fishing now, and We'll talk about some of the things that I've used and I've had success with. If you're here this morning, it's going to be a lot of the same. It looks like we've got a lot of different faces back in here now. So, now, how many of y'all are seriously here to listen to me, and how many of you just found a comfortable place to sit down? It's a little bit of both, but no, I'm going to talk about a couple of techniques that have been really good to me. One particularly in Major League Fishing, and that's the one I'm going to start with. But then the one that I used primarily to win up in lacrosse last year on the Mississippi River to win my first Bassmaster Elite Series event up there. So, but Major League Fishing is something that a lot of y'all in here have talked to me about. It's a really great show. It's really exciting to watch. It's exciting to fish in, and that's one thing. I mean, when those shows come out, I want to watch because whether I won or whether I didn't, I want to see how my other competitors call them because. There's no information, there's no practice, and you go out there and you do your thing, and even during the competition, we aren't allowed to talk to each other, and even if we wanted to help each other, which we don't, in that deal, even if we wanted to, we can't. It's against the rules, so, I don't know how the other guys call them until the shows come out, so it's interesting to me I know what I did and what worked and what didn't work, but what worked and what didn't for those other guys that fell in the water at the same time, but a bait that works for me a lot of times in those deals to catch fish is a small swim bait. It's the Bass Pro Shop 3-inch speed shaft. It's just a small ribbed-bodied swim bait, and I rig it up. This is actually a heavier head. My light head I had up here, it got gone. But usually fish it on an 8, sometimes a 3/16. A lot of times a 3/16, but an 8, 3/16 and a quarter. This is actually a 3/8 here. It's kind of heavy, but you'll be able to see pretty much what I'm talking about with it, but that simple little setup right there is accounted for so many fish for me in that Major League Fishing format. But the thing is, it's in warm water, it's a numbers game. That's what that Major League Fishing is. It's a numbers game. You're just trying to catch fish, and that's primarily what this thing is in warm water. Now in cold water, especially around smallmouth, you can catch some great big ones on that little bait. But for the most part, if you're fishing warm water, 65 degrees or warmer, most of what you catch on this are going to be fairly small. Not that you can't catch a big one, but you're just not going to catch a whole lot of fish over, say, 2.5 pounds on this little bait. Because once that water's warm, they want something bigger. It's more of a meal for them. If they're going to expend the energy to catch it, they want it to be more of a meal, especially in warm water. And in cold water, they don't care to eat something small. So it's primarily a numbers deal in warmer water, and but it's a great way to have a lot of fun, catch a lot of fish. It's a great bait for kids to fish because it's really pretty simple. The way I fish it, I'm going to throw it out. Most of the time, I want it to be close to the bottom. And by close to the bottom is, of course, a relative term. I want it to be within 3 or 4 feet of the bottom. Sometimes I want it right on the bottom, but most of the time, as long as it's within 3 or 4 feet of the bottom, I'm good with that because it's primarily a clear water thing. At least 3 feet of visibility. 4 or 5 feet is probably optimum, so I don't want to fish it in dirty water, and because of that, I don't feel like it has to be right on the bottom. It's a really great way to catch fish that are suspended. You can catch them. I call them around bridge piers and boat docks and stuff 20 feet deep over 40 or 50 feet of water. You know, so you can catch fish that are truly suspended on that little swim bait, and it's one of those things that they'll bite well. But the whole deal with any swim bait, regardless of if it's a 3-inch bait or it's an 8-inch swim bait, the retrieve is everything. With one with a jig head in it that sinks like that, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna reel that bait along at a steady pace, and then I'm gonna occasionally, if I feel like I'm getting too high in the water column, as I'm reeling, I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna let that bait swing right down to the bottom. What I'm not gonna do is be reeling that bait along and then just drop slack in my line. I don't want that bait to ever make it just a sudden straight drop down to the bottom. I want to reel along, but just hold my rod tip still and allow that bait to swing down a little bit deeper. It's totally unnatural for a bait to do that in the water column. It's supposed to look like a bait fish. It's supposed to look like a shad. It just does not look natural at all. But if it kind of swings down, coming at you a little bit, that's when you're fishing in a place there's so many you're running into them. But when it just swings to you a little bit, that's what looks a lot more natural than it does to just drop right straight down on the bottom. So that's what I'm going to try to do with that bait. The size of the head is really what determines that for me, is the depth and the speed I want to fish it. If I'm trying to fish that bait really shallow or really, really slow, even out to 5 or 10 foot of water, that's when I'm going to go with an 1/8 ounce head. If I'm trying to fish it, a little bit more of a medium speed, or a little bit deeper, that's when I'm going to go to a 1/4 ounce. If I need to fish it real deep, that's when I'll go to a 3/8. It's rare that I step up to a 3/8. But a 3/16 and a 1/4 ounce are the two sizes I use the most. And that covers most of your fishing for a good slow, steady retrieve from anywhere from 5 to 15 foot. That's where I focus with this bait most of the time, is in that 5 to 15 foot range. So a 3/16 and a 1/4 ounce head on that little 3-inch Bass Pro Speed shad is the right combination. And any of those kind of shad-like colors, that's what they just call shad. Anything natural looking. Occasionally I'll dive the tail of that chartreuse just to give it a little bit of flair, but I don't want anything real gaudy. I don't like a solid chartreuse bait or anything like that. It's small, it's subtle, it needs to look natural as well to match the action that it's got. So just a natural shad top pattern or something white is what seems to work best. And I've matched the head color to the bait. If I'm using like with this color, I would use a head that's got a little bit of black on the back of it, or some gray. Something that's just going to match that bait perfectly. The setup I fish it on, this is my equipment here. I had to fly in, so I wasn't able to bring my stuff. But the setup I'm going to fish it on is a 7-foot spinning rod, a Bass Pro carbon light spinning rod, and carbon light spinning reel. But then I like to use braid on nearly all my spinning rod techniques that I'm fishing a soft plastic bait on. I like 10-pound Bass Pro braid and a 6 or 8 pound test leader. 6 is only if it's necessary. I use an 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader the vast majority of the time and don't have any problem with it. I don't feel like the fish can see that. I don't think stepping down to 6 gets me personally a whole lot more bites. So I use 8. I'll even go up to 10 if I'm around a lot of cover. But that braid on spinning reels has really changed my fishing big time, because it doesn't change the number of bites I get, it changes how many fish I catch out of those bites. That fishing braid with the fluorocarbon leader, where you have no stretch at all in your main line. Not only you start off with about a 6 or 8 foot long leader, but that no stretch, your hook sets are so solid, you can feel everything your bait's doing all the time, and you just catch more of them. There's no question about it. You got to get comfortable with that knot. I tie an all-bright knot to join those lines together. It's a pretty simple knot to tie once you practice with it some, and I've never had any trouble with it breaking off on a fish. I'll occasionally get hung and go to break it, and I'll break that leader off, get hung sometimes, but most of the times even then, it still breaks at the bait. So it works really, really well. I feel like my catch ratios went way up with it compared to fishing those on straight fluorocarbon. Even with this little swim bait, I thought when I first started fishing it a lot, I was fishing it on straight fluorocarbon, and I would catch, most of my bites, but I still lost fish that I felt like there was no reason I should. They'd come off and they'd be teeth marks up on the head of the bait, so I know that they had eaten it. It wasn't like they were short striking the bait, but I just wasn't getting the hook in them. And that's because I was using that fluorocarbon with a little bit of stretch to it. Once I switched to braid, it's just so much more solid. You get the hook in those fish, and getting the hook in them solid obviously results in a lot more catches. So that's it's a great little bait. Like I say, it's really good to learn, you know, for young anglers, because they can take it. It's not perfectly weedless, but it'll come through a lot of stuff, and you know, it'll catch a lot of fish in a lot of different situations. In cold water, like I say, it is a great way to catch some big ones. In warm water is just a great way to catch a lot of numbers. Next one I'm going to talk about is it's actually the same bait, but just a lot bigger version. That's what I used up at La Crosse, Wisconsin on the Mississippi River to win that Bassmaster Elite Series event I fished up that I won up there. This is the 5-inch Bass Pro Speed Shad, and it's the bait is very similar. You know, it's just of course a little bit bigger, but the shape of it and everything is very similar. But the way I rigged this one is actually quite a bit different. This is something I came up with a few years ago, just fun fishing at home, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was fishing in the river, and I was getting a lot of fish to eat a swim bait, but with the bow in my line and the current and everything else, I couldn't get the hook in them. I was fishing basically the same bait, but with the weedless style hook. And there was some cover in the water, some wood and stuff, but I felt like if I had a treble hook bait, I still wouldn't get hung up very much, maybe a little bit, but I'd at least catch most of the bites I was getting, where I wasn't catching hardly any of them, and it was really frustrating. So I just got that in the boat and trying to find a way to get my line through the bait. Finally found an old line threading tool I had that didn't work real well, but I was able to get the line through a bait and got it through there, and I tied on just a treble hook and threw it out, and like I pulled it beside the boat and it looked good. I throw it out and the bait's all balled up. It just didn't work right. I had to go back to the tackle box and got out a few more parts and ended up getting out a barrel swivel and a split ring and made something that worked. And that's the way I fished it for a while. But I'd actually told Marty Zummer what I was doing, and he told me to try to add a rivet in place on the belly back here. And that worked extremely well. And then I actually took and added one to the nose as well, just to get even more life out of the bait, because without the one on the nose, it will occasionally, your line will just cut that bait. It'll just rip it off, and you'll get one bite out of it, and that's all your catch. But with 2 rivets, one on the front and one on the back, you can get a lot of life out of those baits. And this works everything from this big 5-inch one down to like the 3.8-inch speed shad. It'll work on all those. But so I'll take what I do, I just take a rivet and knock the nail out of it, slide one up on the line with the washer side first. We'll slide that up on there, and then I put my bait on. I'll run my line through the bait. We had just basically a straight shank hook was what I had to use here. I have a line threading needle. That's what I use in my boat. It's like what they use in saltwater, pretty common for them. But in freshwater fishing, we don't use one a whole bunch. But just I keep a line threading needle in the boat. So then thread the line through my bait, and then put on another rivet facing the opposite direction, and then pull that one up into the bait, and then tie on a split ring and a treble hook. And you need that split ring on the treble hook to give it a little bit of slack, because once you put everything in place, if you're pulling just straight against the treble hook, it's still going to have that effect of wanting to kink the bait up. But if you've got that split ring there, it gives you kind of a little bit of cushion, essentially, kind of a knuckle to work with. And push that one on the front, you just push it into the nose of the bait. Pull that one up in there on the back with the hook. Take one prong of that treble hook and stick it in the bait just to hold it all in place, so when you cast, it doesn't flop around and want to hook itself. And that's it. And there's no weight to that. And I'll explain why I don't use any weight on it here in just a second, but there's no weight to it. So it's a shallow water presentation. You can catch fish that are suspended coming up high to feed, but it's primarily a shallow water deal. It's when the fish are feeding in the top few feet of the water column. So maybe they're not wanting to buy the top water bait, but it doesn't seem like that bait should swim that well without anything else in it. But that's how well balanced that speed shad is, that it doesn't want to roll. It doesn't twist like a hollow belly bait. A hollow belly swim bait, if you try to rig it that way, it's just going to spin on you. And a lot of other swim baits will too. But that speed shad is such a heavy, such a dense bait, that even without any weight at all, it'll run through. You know, it doesn't want to roll or anything else. And that's what makes it effective, is that you can fish it at that slow of a speed and that high in the water column without having to fish it super fast. You can fish it slow and easy, and you don't have to fish it real quick to keep that bait running through. And never would commit to it. It's funny because you'll actually have that happen sometimes. You'll have fish like that to get super interested in it and follow it, and a lot of times all you gotta do is just speed it up just a little bit, just a couple turns of the reel handle will get a fish to commit to it sometimes. But what I was saying is, the reason I don't personally fish this with any added weight to it is because if I'm wanting to fish that thing with some weight, that means I probably want to fish it deeper. If I'm wanting to fish it deeper, I'm going to fish it with a jig head. It's a lot more simple, a lot less parts. You just take a jig head, shove it in the nose, and you're good to go. Just a swim bait jig head like a VMC. Use a boxer style jig head on this bait a lot. And it's a lot more simple. I mean, you don't have to run your line through the bait and get all those rivets and triple hook and everything else. The other part of that too is actually fish care, because the way that bait swims through the water, most of the times when a big fish especially comes up and eats it, they actually come from behind and kind of push that bait to you, and so they eat it like that. Which ends up putting that treble hook right down in their gills and their tongue area. And I've never had a fish that I killed because of it that I can recall, but I've had some that bled heavily, that I have to put rejuvenate or something right on them to get that blood to clot back up. But if I don't have to deal with that, if I'm not trying to fish it that shallow, I'm just going to fish it on the jig head. So where that hook's on the top, you hook them in the roof of the mouth, you don't have to worry about that. So that's why I personally, if I'm going to fish it with a treble hook, it's because I'm fishing it really shallow. I'm keeping it up high in the water column, and most of those bites are actually a visual bite. Where I was fishing up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, there was so much current coming through them that I couldn't actually see my bait all the time, just because the water was so turned up. But even in a slow retrieve coming back down with that current, I would actually know about where my bait was, and I would see a swirl when those fish would bite. Of course, I'd do it at the same time, but a lot of those fish actually bit it like a topwater bait. It was nearly a surface strike. Some of them really were, and some of them kind of blew up on it. But a lot of those fish were that bait was that far under the surface, even though it's not creating a lot of disturbance. When those fish would come up, you'd see a bull, you'd see them, kind of swirl on top when they would come up and eat that bait. So that's the thing with it. Rigged that way, it's a shallow water deal. If you're trying to fish it 5 or 10 foot deep, there's no reason to go through the trouble of rigging it this way and then add something to it. Unless you're just getting tons and tons of short strikes, then you want that treble hook, for maybe the increased hookup that it's going to have in those situations. But that is a good thing about it. Sure, you'll miss some, you'll have some that's still short strike it, but all in all, it's a pretty good hookup to catch ratio. And two, once you hook a fish, that bait slides up the line and it gets away from it. And all you're fighting that fish on then is the hook. So if you've got him on just a hook, fish got it, and all you're going to catch him. You don't have to horse him to the boat at that time. You've got it just on a plain hook. He has no leverage or anything to be able to throw it. The one thing with that is when that bait's sliding up and down your line, those rivets that are in there, they're not made for fishing. I mean, they're made, they're made the whole piece of metal to go, so they're not polished on the inside. They are kind of rough, and they will nick your line a little bit. I'll fish it on 15-pound Bass Pro fluorocarbon, 14-pound or 17 Bass Pro fluorocarbon, but it will nick your line up. So after I catch 3 or 4 fish, I'm going to retie. If I'm at home fun fishing, I've done it before where I've caught 8 or 10 and not be real concerned with it, and the next one that bites, you set the hook and it breaks your line because of those rivets, just because of where that bait slid up and down your line. It's nicked your line up some, and it's going to break eventually by doing that. But that's the one thing I'll tell you is to make sure if you're catching a lot of fish on it, that you just make sure you retie often. And with those rivets in there, a lot of times sometimes you'll only catch 2 or 3, 4 fish a bait. I've had some baits I've caught 10 or 15 on with those 2 rivets in there in place, and it really extends the life of the bait big time until they bite the tail off of it, rip the tail off of it. You can still keep catching fish on it. So it's a really neat technique that works works really good. I've been out fishing the rivers at home, and that's a place where obviously up there at the Mississippi and Wisconsin, that was on a river system that I won with it. And I guess I would say that maybe it seems to do better on a river system than a lake, but I've caught them on it in several different lakes too on the Elite Series. Up in Cayuga this past year up in New York, it was working really good there for me. So I don't know that it has a lot of limitations yet, other than the fact it's a shallow water deal. It works really good around the spawn. It seems like it's good for getting those fish fired up that are around the bed or something, because it is a fairly big bait. It'll get those fish. It's very distracting when a fish starts following my bait. It's hard to talk anymore. I guess that's the natural tendency of a fisherman. If you see one coming at your bait, you're probably not gonna talk real well. But it skips really well. I can't do it in this tank, but it being as heavy as it is and just a plain plastic bait, it really does skip good. Even on bait casting equipment, you can make it skip across the water, skip it under boat docks. That's one thing I do with it a lot. A lot of the places that I'm fishing this thing is not the kind of place you think you normally fish a swim bait, or something with an open treble hook, just because of how well it casts, and how you can skip it under stuff and get it in there. And that's one thing too with it that I think is kind of a drawing power to it, is that you can skip it in. And anytime I can skip a bait into a place, I feel like that adds another element to my cast and just to the drawing power. If the bass sees something skipping across his head, that typically gets their attention and makes them think it's something that's already trying to flee, and then they see something swimming back out. I get a lot of bites on when I'm skipping it under docks and under overhanging trees versus just pitching it in there and making a big splash. So, but it definitely is a clear water kind of thing. Again, that's basically all swim baits. They definitely are best in clear water. At least a couple feet of visibility with this bait. It being big, it does move a lot of water, so you can catch them in a little more stained water than, like, say, on that little swim bait. But I prefer 3 or 4 feet of visibility is what I like for this bait. Just because of the natural tendencies of a swim bait being more of a visual bait versus a chatterbait or square bill crankbait, something like that puts off a lot of vibration. It's pretty natural, pretty subtle, and just that natural swim to it is what makes it so effective. But if you want to see this one hop down, you're more than welcome to. Again, thank y'all for coming out. It's been a lot of fun up here. I've actually been headed to Tulsa, Oklahoma to work at Bass University event out there tomorrow. So it's been a great time up here in Richmond, and thank y'all a bunch.